On this track, I don't know, I said. Is it a club mix, is it hype? I don't know, I don't know. What's the meaning of this track?
All right. So it appears as though we are live once again, recording live, that is, in the Pinnacle, in the Reaching the Pinnacle podcast studio, live out of Pinnacle Fitness. I think we're right on time, aren't we? This is every other week, so we should be good here. I can't remember.
I think so. Close enough.
Well, I tell you what, we've got a pretty good show for everybody today. I think it's going to be something that people may have seen around their fitness center, and people may be taking part of and not realizing that they're taking part of.
Right, everybody's taking part in it.
Well, yeah, and you're either doing it or you're upset about it.
Right.
So just so that everybody knows that we are live, if you're listening live and you have something to chime in about, if we're forgetting about something, or even if you have a point of difference, let us know, because we are live. You can go down to that Spreaker app. If you're on the Spreaker app, you can go down to that little chat box, and you can chat live with us on the spot. So that would be awesome. But anyways, we are going to talk today about etiquette, and that doesn't necessarily mean lifting weights with your pinky turned up, or
right,
or speaking in a transatlantic accent or anything like that. It's basically, how you treat your fellow members, how you treat your gym or fitness center, and how you treat the equipment, right? Or is that's what it boils down to. That's generically, or is there more?
Yeah, well, I think that pretty much covers it. I guess we can move on to the next topic.
All right, but thanks for listening, everybody.
No, that pretty much is the general basis of it. But I think today we're going to delve into some specifics about examples of good and bad etiquette that we see on a daily basis. Maybe some of the changing in the gym etiquette atmosphere over the past, 15 or 20 years or longer.
Right.
Have some stories from some people who were working out before even you and I, and how it's changed since when they first started until now.
Sure.
And also, it's a good time of year. We're still somewhat early in the year as far as new people in the gym.
Sure, yeah.
And so
some people might not even know.
They may not even know even kind of how to conduct yourself when you're working out in a public, gym.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I still got to say, I don't know if people can hear it or not. I'm one of those people that once I put something out audibly, like once I put out a show, I don't normally go back and listen to it, because I find 100 things that I did wrong, or 100 things that I would like to change, or I think it's something I should have said that I didn't say. So I rarely go back. But I don't know if anybody can hear those weights clanging around in the background, but I just love it. I think that's an awesome background to our show.
Yeah, as long as they don't clang too loud.
There you go. Maybe that could be our first segue.
I think that should be. You want to tackle this one, or do you want me to?
Well, I'm not I've been around for 20-something years, so I know, in my opinion.
In the gym, or just in general?
I wish in general, but in the gym, which dates me a little bit.
You're a dinosaur, then.
Yeah, unfortunately. But the things that I think in terms of clanging things around, there's several. That's an umbrella statement for several things. There's dropping the weights, there's racking the weight loudly, there's slamming plates together when you're loading the bar, there's, just, I don't know, I don't like any of it because it distracts me, and I'm a loud person. I'm sensitive to loud noises, so it kind of sends a shiver up my spine every time somebody is slamming, like, if you have a couple of 45-pound plates that you're slamming together, it hits that frequency that makes me shiver. So, but you're a gym owner, so you have a whole different outlook on it other than just being an annoyance.
All right. Well, yeah, I think that's one of the major issues that we have in general to look at is people dropping weights. There's a few things go along with that are a negative. I mean, number one is safety.
Sure.
Some people, for some reason, think that dumbbells it's real bad with. They just think a dumbbell is made to be like dropped or thrown or tossed or whatever.
Right.
Now, my own theory is on why that is, but it's just a piece of equipment. I mean, I think of it like, would you go when you're done using a selectorized machine and just kind of toss the machine and knock it over on its side when you're done using it? Because
Right.
I mean, nobody would do that because
Right.
like, oh, that's a really nice machine there, and we need to take care of that. But
Right.
all of a sudden, when people go to a dumbbell, which per pound probably costs as much or more than that selectorized machine with the preloaded weight stacks, they think they can just toss it whenever they feel like it.
Right.
And so that's it's dangerous to the equipment or harmful to the equipment, the dumbbell itself.
Right.
It's a danger to people around them, half time to themselves.
Right. I was going to say, I mean, you never know who's going to be crossing in front of you to grab a dumbbell while you just can't simply lift the last rep or two and you toss the weight,
Yeah, so we don't have a big issue with that here anymore because we've tried to work on that for a lot of years to let people understand that that's something that we just tolerate very little of. I mean, we understand if it's a real heavy set or something, and maybe it's if you got a 120-pound dumbbell, it may not hit the ground with like a feather, but it shouldn't just be thrown down and slammed on the ground.
Well,
there's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, there is a difference. I mean, the heavier the weight, the louder the noise. Even if you gingerly, guide it down to the ground as if you were putting a baby duck in water, it's still going to go boom really loud. But there's a difference. Now, do you think that that's something that can be fleshed out with gym culture?
Yeah, it can be. I don't know if it'll ever completely eliminate it because it seems like we've always had here over the years at least somebody who just doesn't understand this concept. And I think one of the big things anymore is maybe versus the past is that people have the headphones on now, listening to their own music, and they can't hear anything that's going on. And so they actually, some people don't realize
That they're slamming them,
that they're slamming them, which
Sure.
is like, that's annoying too. It's like you're not aware of just because.
Spatial awareness, self-awareness.
The old tree falls in the forest. There's nobody around. Does it still make a noise? Well,
Right.
so that's kind of how I feel like every time I see somebody with the headphones on. I'm like, okay, is this person just totally unaware, or are they just being
Sure.
an idiot?
Let me ask you this, and this isn't necessarily me being a devil's advocate, but it's just, is there a point in time, I mean, obviously, I think you probably, if somebody is going a little too hard with the dropping of the weights and the slamming the plates together and things, I mean, you probably get complaints.
Oh, yeah, we get complaints on that. And so that's when usually, if I'm around, or some of the other staff, if it's really obvious and blatant, I'll go over myself.
Sure.
Right then and there.
Right.
And sometimes I make a point of it so other people can hear around. And some
Right.
people think that's kind of maybe not that professional. But if somebody's really just abusing equipment,
Right.
I usually make a spectacle of them.
Right.
Because there's no reason. I mean, they can be a little embarrassed.
Well,
Whether
and
they understand, hey, this is not acceptable.
Right.
Now, for most people, if it's just a little here or there, they're borderline, then I will personally just, when they're leaving or later on, I'll take them off to the side
Sure.
and say, hey, but if somebody's just throwing a dumbbell or slamming it down, they get... they're lucky they don't get kicked out.
Right. Well,
There's no reason for that.
And the second part of what I was saying is so there are people that complain. Now,
Yeah,
is there a point in
sure.
time where they're just a little sensitive and they might be somebody? I mean, does that happen too?
Yeah, there's some people that are just a little too sensitive to it, and you just have to say it is a gym.
It is,
I
yeah.
mean, it's not. See, that's the other thing. There's different gyms. There's different atmospheres, and so you have to be aware when you enroll in a fitness center or a gym. There's all sorts of different atmospheres and cultures, and so some gyms that's perfectly acceptable.
Right.
They're few and far between, but they do exist. And so if you're somebody looking to drop weights and deadlift heavy and smash things around,
Yeah.
then you might find a gym that caters to that.
Sure.
But there's other gyms where you walk in and that's just not accepted. There's some that are kind of in between.
Right.
And so it just depends on what you're looking for. But most people can pick up on the cues without having to sign a waiver, detailing every rule, what kind of an atmosphere their particular gym kind of is all about.
Right.
Some people just seem to just be in their own world, and
Right.
they could go and enroll at Planet Fitness, and the first thing they do is go and drop 500 pounds on a deadlift. And like they act bewildered when they're asked to leave. It's
Right.
like, it
You
says
gotta
it on
know.
the wall. It
Yeah.
says it on the paper. It says it on that you signed up.
The commercials, I mean, everything says that you can't do that at Planet Fitness. But I was going to say, I mean, and you do have signs up in the facility that say don't drop the weights and re-rack the weights and things like that.
Right, and so that's a lot of the issue. Some of the issues that people won't really consider, as far as just from a business standpoint. I mean, directly getting down to dollars and cents is that
It's such expensive.
well, it's expensive, but even more than that, if you have 2 or 3 people who decide they want to drop weights and slam weights, well, they may be bothering 20 or 30 people.
Sure, yeah.
20 or 30 is going to pay the bills a lot easier than 2 or 3. So
Right.
I'd rather have 3 people mad at me than 30.
Right,
And
right.
that's just the economics of the whole situation.
Right, absolutely. Well, and I've taken a look at some of those catalogs, and just those preset dumbbells alone. Everybody, if you're not aware of the price of some of those, I mean, it's not like the molded hexagon dumbbells you get at Walmart or Academy that are about $1.20 a pound.
Which are still very expensive.
Which is still very expensive, yeah. Like $1.20 a pound is pretty pricey. But then you get into these preset weight mechanisms that have the lock on them and everything, and you're looking at a set of 20-pound dumbbells that's $200. $200, $300.
Yeah, they can be a couple dollars a pound or more when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and that's pricey. So if you're a big tough SOB running around and you like to throw down the 80s and you snap off one of the heads of those bells, I mean, those 80-pound bells are probably a $400, $500 set of bells.
Can be, depending on the brand and what you buy. But, yeah, I mean, I remember 10 years ago we bought a bunch of dumbbells ranging from 5 pounds to 140 pounds. I think there was a couple sets of the 5 to 50 and another single set on up, a set being 2,
Right.
on up to 140s, and I think they were $6,000, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
But that was 10 years ago, and they haven't
Right.
gotten any cheaper. So
Right. So
dropping weights is something. It's just not dumbbells. We kind of picked on the dumbbell situation, but it's also, a lot of people like to deadlift and just slam weights.
Yeah,
slam weights.
and those bars, a lot of those industrial commercial bars they're not the ones that you get at Dick's Sporting Goods for $210 for a bar plus 300 pounds. I mean, these are
It's
$300 a
$210
piece
for the bar.
For the bar, yeah. So
or more.
Yeah.
Now they would say, they argue, then that's what it's meant to be used for. And again, in certain gyms, you can probably do that. But again, what about the floor that you're dropping it on? What about disrupting all the people around you? What about the safety of it? Again, on the deadlift in particular, I've never understood the whole bouncing of the weight, because that's what people are doing. They're bouncing the weight off the floor so they think they're lifting more, like they're. And again, on a deadlift, I think you and I have trained together, so I tell you, if you really want to know how strong you are, you've got to set it down under control, let all the momentum stop, and let it sit there for a second, and then pick it up again.
Yeah.
And it builds strength a lot better anyway doing that, because
yeah.
you're actually working up and down, just not
Absolutely.
on the up. And so, again, that's another
rest pausing
topic,
deadlifts is
it's kind of like pausing on a bench press.
Yeah.
You don't know how strong you are until you set it on your chest and
just whistle a
for
tune
about
and
half a second.
So what else we got? There's
Well, that's the dropping weights is.
That's probably the biggest one, right?
Probably not, actually. The biggest
No?
one is not putting weights away,
Oh, okay.
or if they do, not even bothering to put them back in some logical spot
in a way in which they are supposed to go,
where they're marked, or where you got them from,
or taking cues from what was there already.
Mm-hmm. We come in every day, it seems like, and there's always somebody who has put a 5-pound plate behind a 45, or put a 45-pound plate behind a couple of 10s on a tree somewhere,
Right.
or left it on a bar, or it's just disrespectful to the other customers, the ownership. Everybody involved. It's just a slap in the face if you don't put your weights away.
Right.
Now, we understand it's a mistake. Some people, you just forget every once in a while. That's understandable. If it's a chronic, I think that's the right term, like a chronic illness is something that can't get away from. If it's a chronic,
long term, over time. So what if somebody was to say, well, but isn't that the job of the people that work there, is to go through and sort all those things out, or?
No, the job of the people who work there is to keep the place clean, to mop the floors and maintain the equipment. But it's not to rack weights up